We're
Talking about
human.
cost. Hi,
Yeah.
welcome to the Cost Porta Pro stream.
Yeah, trust me, I'm so sorry that this stream didn't get up 8 minutes ago. You guys missed quality discussion about headphones, I think. I
Yeah,
wasn't
pretty
listening.
much, pretty much. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this stream of NetBattlers, the tabletop RPG you all know and love. And if you don't know it already, you'll come to know and love it incredibly soon. I am your host and your game master, Nathan Blades, at Writer Blades on Twitter, because we're going to be doing the shameless promotion up front. With me this evening, it's evening my time anyway, I have three wonderful, delightful tabletop RPG veterans. I have Will Yule. There we go. I pronounced it correctly.
Hello.
Hi. We also have Sam, whose surname I don't know, but is very attractive.
You made up for it with flattery. A Heitzer would be the surname. Hello.
Hiya. And we also have an ordinary Joe.
Hello.
Thank you all for appearing on my stream. Well, also on Will's stream. He's doing really me a kind favor of recording this. Partially this is like ego stroking, but mostly this is so for people who don't know too much about the NetBattlers RPG and would like to run a campaign rather than just one-shots, we're going to be going through a session 0 of my upcoming campaign, The Strange Tales of Mainframe City Academy, which I have to say with the hands or I get sued. So we're going to be going through the kind of steps of character generation, talking about the world and all those bits and pieces, and it'll be recorded. So if you don't catch this live, but you'd still like to know how all this stuff works, I'm not going to swear because I think this is a child-friendly stream. I'll do my best not to swear. I'll immediately fail.
Yeah, I don't know if I can be held to that standard either.
You can go watch this back and learn about the things. But first, there is like background music and stuff. I guess for Will already has the thing open, so I can just go and play it. But for
Let me get in there.
Yeah, for the other people, I can.
Incoming jams. Ooh, other good jams.
Yeah, I decided. I decided to do a little bit of preparation in advance and make a playlist full of the kind of music that you'd maybe expect to hear in this campaign. A little bit of history, a little bit of mystery, a lot of kind of like shonen anime kind of things, a lot of daily school life, because that is pretty much what this is about. The Mainframe City Academy is very much the kind of high school drama, sci-fi high school drama that you would expect from the likes of the world of like Mega Man Battle Network or Mega Man Star Force, but also layering in a little bit of Persona, maybe a little bit of The World Ends With You, a lot of just kind of like cool teens who get into lots of trouble and maybe solve a murder. Actually, I kind of introduced all of you by name initially, but you should probably like talk about yourselves a little bit, do a little bit self-promo.
Oh man,
you can find your stuff if you have stuff to be found. Why don't you go first, Will?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Will Yule. I'm the author of NetBattlers, which is the system that we're working off of today. It's the unofficial Mega Man Battle Network tabletop RPG system. And yeah, I've been making tabletop RPGs for quite a while, and it's only kind of recently that they've actually been good. So, yeah, past that, I'm a journalist, and tabletop RPGs have been my passion for many a year, and I'm very happy to be here today. Join the NetBattlers server, it's down at the bottom corner there, and also I should probably make Nathan not the exclusive big boy. Oh, I think it's just not making me a big boy. That's okay.
Oh.
I can stay in this box.
Yeah, you don't get to be a big boy if you're hosting the stream, apparently. It's so self-sacrificing.
You could click on yourself when you're talking.
That's true. I could do that. I probably won't do that very much, but I did it now. Get a good look. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam, tell us about yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Sam. I don't have too much to plug yet, but I'm a musician, singer-songwriter, slowly working my way towards releasing an album. I'm also an actor. I work many odd jobs, and I've been playing tabletop games for a long time because, one, Will Yule started dragging me along to them, and I got hooked. So here I am.
Hi, and
The
it's a
odd
pleasure
jobs for
to have
every
you.
odd fellow.
And Joe, introduce yourself as well, please.
Hello. Well, I'm Joe, local RPG obsessive. Well, I guess that isn't a distinguishing factor here, but I don't have anything to plug. Software engineer. I'm just here for a good time.
Don't you know it? I always give them a good time. Absolutely.
Go
they'll be-
shoot images of rats at images.google.com.
Yes, I'll plug that 100%.
And yeah, I am, as I said before, Nathan Blades. I GM a tabletop RPG actual play podcast called The Talent Agency. It is I describe it as cyberpunk voguing action.
I can confirm there's been a surprising amount of voguing from what I've listened to.
Yeah, you know, we pride ourselves on being a very kind of like ridiculous LGBTQ RPG podcast, and that involves often a lot of like very energetic dancing in character. But in general, I do a lot of podcasting work, a lot of tabletop RPG work as a hobby. In my real world job, work in education. I teach kids about the music learnings at the moment, which is pretty neat. In the future, you might see me on Twitch more when I actually have a Twitch channel. That is a personal project for this year. So maybe this is a bit of like my glittering debut. If you like the content that we produce, please.
This is your big break.
Oh gosh, I know. You can like follow me on Twitch later. I won't put that in the description now because it doesn't exist yet, but you know, you'll find about that. But anyway, let's get into our session 0, shall we? So session zeros are basically, as the name suggests, the pre to the actual session. This is where we can kind of talk about stuff like making our characters, what kind of content that we might expect from the campaign, our kind of aspirations and maybe fears, knowing what kind of tone that we're going for, and other fun things like that. As it happens, I have actually, the world of Mainframe City Academy is something that already exists on Will's Discord, where the NetBattlers community has been thriving and running sessions. I've been helping test the game by running one-shots in this location. So it's a very, very prestigious high school where you can kind of go in via application, but also kind of testing and scouting. Everybody's really, really into school clubs, and everybody's like a little adult. Kind of the kind of like ecosystem of the school is almost like a real life city, so adults don't feature too often. It's mostly the interplay between the teens who are there. In fact, Sam, you've not been in on a session of Mainframe City Academy yet.
No, I am not.
Will and Joe have. So how about you kind of tell the people what your previous kind of like frolicking in Mainframe City Academy has been like?
Well, let's see. I think it's even though he said people care about clubs a lot, that still feels almost a little understated, just in terms of how they're kind of like the different factions within the school from which people can kind of flow to or clash between. And I'm just trying to think, past adventures in the setting have involved like virtual reality laser tag.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but that's only the start of it. The real appeal was that was a 4v4 battle between us plucky protagonists and the various cocky school club leaders. Very Kill la Kill.
Except better than Kill la Kill, because I don't like that anime. But the concept's neat. Yeah. No, there's a very kind of like Pokemon gym leader kind of vibe going on. Each school club has a club leader. They have a surprising, maybe scary amount of power. And are all very, very bold personalities. You've also been involved in a mystery solving a ruined theater show.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, There is a lot of mystery solving in Mainframe City Academy, which, gosh, I think that might tie into some of the things that this campaign's going to touch on. As
Absolutely.
I think the last one I played in, I don't remember if this was canonically Mainframe City Academy, but we were exploring a nighttime mall and the many mysteries within.
Yes, technically that did involve some characters from MCA. So and to move on a little bit to kind of talking about, you know, player and GM dynamics, I'm a really big fan of mysteries. I think mystery writing and police procedurals are really cool. Like ACAB, don't get me wrong, but also mysteries are cool. So the idea of kind of like integrating that into tabletop RPGs is something that fascinates me a lot. There's a lot of a weird balance between you as or I guess as a GM writing a mystery that is solvable by people at a reasonable speed without hand-holding them, but also where they find all the clues that they need to be able to solve it so nobody gets frustrated. Like, this isn't Monkey Island where we can spend 4 hours trying every single combination of all the bits and pieces that we have. Like, nobody has time for that. So it's keeping the fun mysteries, but with none of the boring slogging.
I mean, I could still have my personal item be, what is it, rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle?
If you can find a way to use that personal item in the campaign, then the campaign's over because you won. But yeah, that's generally me in terms of kind of like how I play. I love mysteries. I love going really kind of like over the top. I love teaming up. It's the best when players in a crew work together, and you would figure in tabletop RPGs that should happen all the time, but oh boy, does it not.
Oh my god, you're telling me. Oh man.
So I guess without kind of like demanding things of you, I love team ups. I love kind of cool combination attacks and things like that. This is very, it touches in this campaign in particular will touch in film noir in lots of different ways. So taking the opportunity to kind of embrace that and stuff is something that would be, I'm really looking forward to doing with all of you. So if you have that kind of like brooding noir male inside of you, then now is the time to let it out. But don't smoke. Smoking is bad, kids.
Could I be the brooding noir female that saucily walks into the office as the male protagonist thinks about how my legs equal trouble?
Yeah. She had mermaid ombre hair, and in this city, mermaid ombre hair is trouble. But she had eyes like diamonds and legs like road rollers. Actually, how about the kind of like what you guys kind of get out of playing tabletop RPGs, the kind of tabletop RPG-era that you guys are?
For myself, I'm mostly running them instead of being a character within them, and for that, I really love giving people tough choices that will push their characters forward, push the story forward, and you know, maybe make them learn a little thing about themselves along the way. But I mean, really, it's something that I'm in for collaborative storytelling, and you know, seeing where things go as we, you know, whether it's something like NetBattlers, which is, you know, very cartoony, talking about, you know, cute viruses getting exploded, or if it's something a little more serious like Monster Hearts, where you have, you know, supernatural teenage drama and lots of people crying, then either way, I think there's a lot of great story potential there.
Cool. Sam?
Yeah. I come from somewhat of a similar perspective as well. I think for me, as someone who's really likes acting, I think I just love seeing people create characters and you know, bring those characters to life. I'm a big fan of character voices, both in the sense of like actually changing your voice, but also like speaking as your character interaction. I just love exploring fictional people in a world with your friends. I think that's such an interesting way of bonding with people, and you learn a lot about the people that you play with through the way that the parts of themselves they put in their characters. And I also love how you can collaboratively sort of form a world together and improvisationally add things to this setting and really make it vibrant and alive. So that kind of thing is just, you don't get that in any other medium, and I think it's really cool.
Nice. Joe?
So I'd say there's two big things I sort of take from RPGs.
Mhm.
On one hand, I really like the sort of small bit scenes where two people like play off each other, make jokes, riff off each other, callbacks, and the sort of thing that just sort of is fun for everyone around. But then on the other hand, I also like the big beats, the grand revelations, the plot twists, the slaying the dragon kind of things. Which is like after all the build up and then all for the gasp. It's like the finale of your favorite TV show, except for you're in it.
The high tension. Yes.
Yeah, it's like the the Ace Attorney breakdowns.
The cliffhangers where the session then ends and everybody's like, damn it.
Yes.
I gotta say, one thing that I neglected to add, and this doesn't feel like this should be a major thing that I really enjoy, but I really do enjoy, it sounds minor, but being able to do a lot with music, just in terms of music is such an interesting medium to me because of how viscerally it can affect people, and being able to integrate that into stories in ways that might surprise people or could, amp people up, put people in a special mood. That's really cool to me. And I think tabletop RPGs are a very approachable and kind of easy genre to do that within, or medium, I should say.
Yeah. Especially now that I've been running more games online as of late, the ability to kind of make YouTube playlists like the one you're maybe listening to now is actually like a thing I really enjoy doing. Oh, one last thing. I'm also pretty goal-oriented in terms of how when I run things. I find that sessions feel a lot like TV shows in that you can tell a really kind of like tight start and end, or kind of have a goal in mind when you're playing the session. Whether you all succeed or fail, you're going to reach a particular point or something will happen. And I'm usually that kind of person. I've never been one for like sandboxes necessarily, where things are really, really widely open. That's not to say I'll railroad you. Obviously, you can solve a mystery however you dang well please. But there will probably be kind of like, the other characters in the setting might not wait for you to solve the mystery if you take too long, let's say. And on that ominous note, let's get into a little bit of setting. So, I'm probably going to read a little bit of the text that I've put in, because that's easier than me kind of rambling around the explaining of it. So, apologize for the box text voice. Deep lore isn't interesting to me, so the following is narrative context, and there are a few things about the game world I want to explore but keep to myself. So from this description, if there's anything you want to yes and onto that, absolutely do so. I will kind of like note it down, and then that will factor in to how the world exists in. So please do give it additional ideas after I go through my bit of blurb. So Mainframe City is like any city in a first world Western country. What country is it? Well, you're not sure, but that's not particularly important. After all, you have no reason to leave. Everything you need is right here. Other cities and countries are named for real-world locations, so it's Japan, not Electopia, or whatever the heck that Battle Network wants to call different locations like Yumland and Choina.
Choina and Netfrika are...
Netfrika is the worst, gosh darn.
We don't talk about Netfrika.
That's an entire continent just reduced to a... Mainframe City Academy itself is a private school founded by an eccentric educator in the 2020s. Then the school gained government funding and had the name changed to just Mainframe City Academy. It had a different name that nobody really remembers anymore. Students both apply as they would any private school, usually with an entrance exam, but there are quite a few who are specifically headhunted. There are school dorms on campus, but most commute in every day. The student body of MCA is vibrant and diverse, like its own city. The story will often reflect that and treat the students of the school as adults, interspersed with the actual duties teenagers have to face. Actual adults are present, but they're rarely the focus. They may often appear as faceless NPCs rather than actual characters until they become relevant to the story. And that is all the setting preamble that I have. It's very open. So from that, is there any kind of like particular setting things you desperately want to see in this game going forward?
So oh yeah, go ahead, Joe.
So this is a bit of a note extending from the previous things you've run. But the technology level seems to be a bit near future. Like
yes. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. The idea, the wonders that like adding like cell phones, to use the American term, into stories have changed the way that stories work like so much, and I think that's really neat. I love the fact that if the gang splits up, they can still talk to each other, and that dynamic is actually really cool.
yeah, it's funny. I was actually for a future project that I'm working on, Mystic Lilies, I was reading through the different sections in Monster Hearts rulebook, and there's like a whole page that's just like, hey, this is probably set at a time where texting exists. That's okay. You should really think about including texting. It's cool. It can do a lot of cool things.
Use the phones. Don't do the horror movie thing where every movie they have to be like, oh no, our phones died and we have no service.
Yeah, it really is true that it's funny. It's something I don't actually think about that much, but it really does offer a lot of opportunities for players who are outside of scenes to integrate themselves into scenes, which is something I'm all about. For just typing in text chat like, hey, what's going on, or whatever.
Actually, in addition to that, because NetBattlers as a game is about kids and their like incredibly smart AI assistants, so therefore AI technology is actually pretty present within this particular game world. Otherwise, the game would not make sense. But in addition to that, I've always been I'm a sci-fi and cyberpunk nerd, so I really like exploring themes about technology with regards to things like AI and robotics. So that will also feature in this campaign to varying degrees. Just by the fact that you have AI assistants with you. Service robots will also exist. They will probably look pretty human. Notably different from human, because there's all sorts of kind of like legal and ethical concerns if they were literal replicants. But it wouldn't be weird for you to go to a Starbucks and the entire wait staff there being bioroids rather than people.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. What's the scale of the campaign going to be? I know it's called Strange Tales of Mainframe City Academy. Is this going to be like 90% within the academy, 90%, or mostly the academy and the surrounding buildings, the whole city? Like, what's the...
That's a fair question. I think, to my mind, most of the events will kind of take place on campus.
Okay.
Because there's dorms, it's large enough to have a school store and things like that. There is probably a local shopping mall that everybody hangs out at, as well as a kind of like maybe old town, with a plaza and a clock tower, that kind of deal. You might also go on field trips, if that's an interesting thing that we want to explore. And you can go to way further locations than that. But it does mean that, on stuff like weekends and in your free time, you are obviously able to go off campus and do other things. Other NPCs and stuff might be there. But for the most part, most of the character conflict will take place during school.
Okay, yeah, I was checking because, of course, what brought this to mind is thinking, okay, so when we have those scenes where it's the three characters in a malt shop thinking about, so what, where do we go from here? Is that going to be a malt shop in the food court, in the nearby mall, across town, like...
See, I think that's a thing that I would actually kind of, once you've kind of developed your characters and the personalities therein, I will leave up to you, where you can kind of decide where your hangout is. Likewise, I tend to kind of make my settings build over time as locations are necessary to exist. So that malt shop, once you say that it exists, it does and can remain existing, and stuff will happen there. Likewise, any classes that you take or school clubs that suddenly exist. So if down the line we suddenly introduce a character who's part of a school club that wasn't previously mentioned, that school club has always been there. You've just had no reason to kind of like explore it until now.
Nice.
A lot of my kind of inspiration from this was from the old like early 2000s cartoon Fillmore, if anybody has seen that.
Yeah, I watched an episode of it. I think you sent it to me.
A decent number of the episodes are available in absolutely garbage quality on YouTube, but
In 2P.
Yeah, I know. It's basically a cop drama set in ex-middle school, where Fillmore is this badass, bald, black 10-year-old who is just kind of talks a bit like Shaft and solves all these kind of like really surprisingly adult crimes flavored to kid level. So there is like an underground gambling ring where they play with like local arcade tokens. There is an entire like Hannibal Lecter plot about a graffiti artist that I think is the pilot episode, but it still makes it kid friendly, and I think that's my kind of like idea. Like, it would be very rare for anybody to die in Mainframe City Academy. I don't think. Maybe we'll take it there. Maybe we'll take it there if the drama ends up building to that kind of level, but I don't think life or death is really what's on the menu. But it will take that level of melodrama and apply that to like midterms and things like that, so you can have all that adult melodrama but without having to kind of like handle really dark adult shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Probably like high emotional stakes without high physical stakes.
Yes. No, I think that's a really good way to put
Also a thing in stories I'm really into, so that's cool.
that. Cool.
I mean, also midterms felt like life or death anyway, so
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Here's where I plug the movie 8th Grade, not because I'm in it or am involved with it at all, just because it's really good. And it has that kind of sense of like middle schoolers dealing with what feel like life or death scenarios in very small ways.
There are, however, a lot of people who thought Sam was in 8th grade in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I'm just plugging the grade 8th grade.
You're suffering from
We gotta
8th
win
grade
the
syndrome.
We gotta win the talent fair.
Oh man, there absolutely has to be a school festival arc now. Gosh.
Okay,
Oh my
hold
god,
on.
yes.
You have to at some point. Like, I don't know how much planning you've done. You've probably...
No, I'm planning.
Okay, fair. But there has to be at some point a class president. There's... Man, I need to poke Zero again to legally send me the first season of The Wire so I can pass it on to you, because God,
yeah, no,
there's
so
much good political stuff you can weave in there. I'm not even talking about like hot political takes of the day. I'm just talking about the way the systems work.
Yes.
Class President Burrell.
I've recently been rereading my way through Transmetropolitan, which obviously has a big plot arc about election year. And that might factor in as well, actually. Class President arc is a really good idea. I've noted that down. Anything else?
I would really want to be class president. Powerfully.
Let's see. Anything else? I mean, definitely... just thinking of other big school time events, there is... Homecoming. Is homecoming more of a high school thing? I've never had a homecoming
This is
in my
high
entire
school,
life.
so
Okay.
yeah. The UK doesn't have homecoming, so I mean, like, the part of the reason why I didn't set this in a specific country is because I can take tropes from British, American, and Japanese high schools and have that be like not a real world conflicting idea.
Right.
Because this is going to get pretty anime, so we've still got to have the space for somebody sitting at the back of the class near the window, you know?
Hold on, you're saying that this tabletop RPG based on a Japanese video game that had an accompanying anime and manga is going to be a little anime?
I mean, for some reason, some of the people who have consumed this tabletop RPG dislike that concept, but I don't know, they can do that. Yes, it's definitely kind of factoring into a lot of those different tropes. Don't worry if none of you know anything about the American high school system. You've seen a Harry Potter film, and it's surprisingly similar.
We have magical moving staircases in the U.S. in all of our high schools.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm sure I've had at least one like chemistry teacher that is actually surprisingly like Snape. But any other kind of like setting ideas that leap out to you? As we discuss this more and other ideas come to mind, absolutely also bring it up then. But any more before we move on?
Just one last small one. What do people wear? Uniforms, t-shirts and cargos, or anime clothes?
I mean, I was a uniform high school kid.
I'm so
I went to an all-boys school, and we all wore maroon blazers. And I've always quite liked how that particular piece of character design challenge that animes and stuff have, where all of them have to dress in a school uniform, but also you need to be able to tell them apart by their fashion sense. If any of you have played Persona 4, that game does that really, really well. Where they all obviously go to the same school and you can tell that they're all wearing the same school uniform, but they have different like jackets or jumpers or wear their ties differently. So you might be doing that. I am very willing to kind of negotiate as a group what the uniform looks like. As you can see from the logo down below at the doobly-doo of that's the mainframe City Academy crest is pink, purple, and gold, which no actual high school would ever do.
They're lost.
Also, no mortal man can stop me. So, so those colors might factor into the uniform in some way. Who knows?
Tangentially relevant. 50% of the Twitch chat has been people complimenting your lipstick.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
It's a good lipstick.
This is my favorite shade. It is Nikki. The color of this shade is called Nikki because, of course, it is by Real D Cosmetics. For those who are like also makeup nerds. Anyway, maybe you carry. Well, I'm pretty sure that most of the characters in this will have relatively elaborate makeup. You might have been able to tell, but I am like super gay, and so is most of the stuff I write. Deal with it. But yes. Moving on. Let's talk a little bit about neo-noir, shall we?
Sure.
I know that I'm a bit of a mystery fan, but I'm also kind of like, quite cognizant of the advent of neo-noir with stuff like Blade Runner and Ghost in the Shell, factoring in those kind of like hard-boiled mystery stories in a high-tech setting. Do any else of you kind of like know much about noir as a genre or about mystery stories? Like, what's your favorite mystery game media?
Oh man, that's a good question. I'd say for myself, I feel like there's definitely better mystery games that I've played, but the Ace Attorney series is what jumps out to me, first and foremost. I actually haven't consumed that much mystery media, but I'm gonna need to, tap my chin about that some more.
Cool. No, it's all good. I mean, you'd be surprised where mystery stories can factor in. You wouldn't think that like Ghost in the Shell technically is a mystery across most of its stuff, even especially a TV show run. Where it is basically a military detective story. So you find them in surprising places a lot of the time.
Actually, strike that. I think the Danganronpa series is probably my favorite mystery series that I can think of, at least. Definitely some really solid writing, and I appreciate the fact that it generally keeps things moving. But
pacey, yeah.
It's pacey, it's creative, and I think the first one I've bounced off the second one a couple times, but I also really enjoy how atmospheric the first one is. Yeah, no, definitely. I should return to that at some point, actually, especially while I'm writing this. Also related to Danganronpa, the nature of those characters, where they're all really, really bold characters, but lean into their hobby like 110% is like a thing that I think is also quite heavily reflected in what this campaign will be. So, yeah. No, that's a good suggestion. Joe, any mystery stories that you're a fave?
So, let's see. Because I mean, the one that stands out to me as far as is also Ace Attorney. So, but I also do sort of like the oldish Agatha Christie stuff.
Interestingly enough, I've actually not really read much, or I've read Anne Agatha Christie. I think I've read, and then there were none like in high school. But otherwise, I've not really read any, and that seems like a horrible hole in my mystery knowledge that I should fill at some point before starting this thing. Maybe, who knows?
Oh, like at the very least, like Murder on the Orient Express,
Mm-hmm.
real page turner.
Oh man, I've been wanting to do a mystery on a train RPG for a while now, and I'd forgotten until you mentioned that. So
Oh man.
Or maybe we can have a field trip. Who knows?
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's a good thing. That's a good thing to mention. I'll definitely read that through and then like steal all of its good ideas.
It's like generally those like old books have this beat where the characters just go from like scene to scene and have these little bits with all the suspects. And then sort of like it builds up the characters, builds up then all of a sudden, boom, it's like they Sherlock Holmes that shit. Just say like, well, this clue and that clue and this clue and that clue, it's that guy, and everyone's like, yes.
Yeah. No, there's that kind of like the deduction moment, which is actually surprisingly hard to do in an RPG format without doing a little bit of hand-holding. So we're maybe going to experiment with that as we play, actually, in terms of how that will go. Because I really want to give you guys the opportunity for you to connect all the evidence together and then be like, and the culprit was you. So we'll see.
I definitely do want to talk about that at some point. Doesn't have to be right now,
though. Sam, any what are your favorite mystery medias?
Oh man, I have a lot actually. I really like mystery stories. I want to shout out because in addition to the stuff that people already mentioned, because those are all great, the really old like Edgar Allan Poe like detective stories. The name of the detective is escaping me. But like the pre-Sherlock Holmes, the guy that Arthur Conan Doyle basically was like, yeah, I ripped this off.
Nice.
Matlock.
Yeah, that's it. MacGyver. I think this counts as a mystery. It's very non-traditional in its formatting, but if we're talking about mysteries on a train, Bacano. Oh my god, Bacano.
Yeah. No, I see that.
I also, while I was kind of disappointed with the way this game ended, I really liked the mystery-solving aspects of Life is Strange. And thinking about us all collaboratively solving a mystery is reminding me of the scene with all the like post-it notes on where you basically do like a notes on a blackboard scene in Life is Strange and like work your way through a mystery, and it's like one of the best parts of that game. And I think for a movie shout out, the Clint Eastwood film Mystic River, I really like.
Nice. I'm being quiet while I'm writing these down to remember to revisit them, because I've watched through Bacano and it was really good, and I've played through about half of Life is Strange and need to finish it. So yeah. Those are definitely things that I will revisit. Also, I won't say that I am an expert at doing mysteries or writing them. I'm still learning. I am also working on a tabletop RPG zine at the moment. One of the bits and pieces in it's called the Queer Cyberpunk's Guide to Tabletop RPGs.
Nice.
And I recently finished a section on different ways to write mysteries, which I will be actively implementing into this campaign. So
this is a little bit of a test run for you too.
Yeah, so because I don't want to get like, if I get halfway into this and then what I wrote down is absolute garbo, I know.
I doubt it is.
But also an important thing to kind of like raise about mysteries and noir especially is that they can go quite grisly places. Like a lot of mysteries are usually involved around murder, and we've kind of already established that we're not really going to be going into necessarily life or death stuff, especially at the start of the campaign.
Dismemberment, however.
But kids can be really cruel. Teenagers can be especially cruel, and that is still something I would like to explore. What kids can actually do to kind of harm a person more than physically is like something that can be quite interesting to explore. But also, I and I'm sure many other people have surprisingly negative specific experiences about high school that we'd rather not necessarily go into. So there are lots of different ways to kind of negotiate this kind of thing. But if people are aware of the X card system, that is probably something I'm going to implement into this. So for those who don't know, the X card is either a physical or metaphorical card with an X on it that you can invoke at any time during play if the thing being discussed takes it into a territory that is uncomfortable or upsetting for you, and just no questions asked. We can stop there, rewind things, move around that particular subject, do fades to black, whatever needs to be done to make sure that we're not stepping into territory that is uncomfortable for anybody. So that is a thing that will is available to happen. Logistically, just to mention to you guys, because we'll be playing online, you can either do that in the chat that we'll be using, or you can PM me that. Either is fine. So if you don't want to kind of talk about it openly, that is also a-okay. In terms of stuff I won't run, I'm generally not going to do anything that involves like phobias or isms. Like, especially since most of the stuff that we run is in a fancy setting, like racism and homophobia are kind of over. I mean, or at least they'll probably still exist in the world because context matters, but they won't ever matter to what you guys do. There are definitely going to be bullies at the school. They won't be bullying about that because no. No.
It's enough of that in the real world.
Basically, it cuts too close. So, if up front, is there anything that you just don't want to occur in the game? So I know up front, if you would like to discuss that now, we can discuss it privately if that was something you would prefer.
Sure. For myself, I can't really think of that. I can't think of anything that you would at all reasonably put into this.
Knowing you, Nathan, like I can think of things, but I would be so shocked if you actually implemented them in any way.
I would probably be assuming you'd have a stroke or something.
Yeah, no, there's obvious things that involve underage people that no, absolutely not, and you're right. So yeah, none of that either, don't worry. But otherwise we're cool?
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Nature of mystery writing. All right. So yeah, it being a noir, there are some mysteries to be uncovered. This is something that maybe you've personally experienced this, or maybe some of the people watching or listening to this have experienced this, where you've done a mystery in a tabletop RPG, invariably Dungeons and Dragons, because that's the only game that exists until now. The corporate monolith rules all dice rolling. Thanks, Hasbro. You've probably been in a situation where you're trying to investigate something, and your DM has told you that you need to go and make an investigation roll, and you just rolled a 5, because that's the way that probability works, and they're like, sorry, you don't find anything. And then one of two things happens, right? Either all of you just kind of keep rolling dice while you're in that scene until one of you rolls high enough where you get that information, or you just continue without that key piece of information and the rest of the game is infinitely harder because you don't have a key clue. And both of those things are garbage, and I won't do them to you. Basically, because, if at the point where you just have to roll die until you get the mystery number, then why are we even rolling?
Yeah.
So to that end, as long as you guys are in a circumstance, if you're in the right location, asking the right questions, and have the relevant skill, you will get that clue. You don't need to worry about rolling through it or not. So the skills in NetBattlers are quite limited to like 9 different skills. But if you're saying like, I have high sense and I'm looking around this room to see if there are any bloodstains, I'll just tell you, that's cool. You don't need to roll dice for that. We don't have all day. We're also in different time zones, so that would be miserable for me.
Nathan especially does not have all day, because it'll go till 3 a.m. for him.
Also, though, that doesn't mean that dice rolling is pointless, because, people like rolling dice. Rolling dice is some of the fun parts of playing tabletop RPGs. So largely what I will do is that you can roll sense, and then based on how many hits you get, is how many will relate to the number of questions you can ask me about the circumstance, and I'll answer them with better detail the higher you roll. So you'll get more questions and better detailed answers the more successful you are with your roll. If you roll garbage, you can still ask a question, and I will probably give you that key piece of information you are going to find anyway, and probably a very terse or very vague additional bit of info. But you will never be lost. You'll never be left without a critical clue. Also, I will tell you when you've seen all the clues you need to see in a scene, because nobody wants that either.
Okay, something I want to ask about that. There's some skills that are very like obviously useful for investigation in the sense of like, oh, sense, info. But I guess thinking as someone who the character I have in mind is absolutely going to be dump statting mind, and it's going to be like a lot of soul and a good amount of body too. I just want to kind of check in to make sure that there's going to be a good variety of like, oh hey, sure, yeah, you can roll strength to, roll the locker back, or something like that. So I'm not just like, well, I guess I'll roll my one die. Oh, well, I guess I'm getting that one bit.
Well, in investigations isn't just forensics, it's also talking to people. So stuff like charisma and bravery is very, or charm rather than charisma and bravery is very important, because you being able to talk to other people and get information out of them that way is very, very important. If there is somebody who is at the scene of the crime and you walk in and they see you and they go, whoa, and run, you'll probably need to catch them. Probably. In which case, having high speed is probably pretty good. To be honest, I will try and work in, I'll make it a personal effort of me to kind of like work in multiple different approaches to investigating a scene, but also because how you investigate is you ask me questions based on what you roll, and it's my job to give you sensible, useful answers. Then yeah, if you want to kind of use your body or your soul to be able to find additional information, great, I will make that work.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking, because there are one thing that I really enjoy when it comes to mysteries, like I suppose when it comes to interactive mysteries, and I'd say really just mysteries in general, I'm a big fan of puzzles, and having like the elements of mysteries that are basically narrative puzzles is very fun to me. So I tend to be more, despite me having gone, I'm going to dump stat, the forensic skills. I really enjoy the feeling of like, okay, I've identified, or I've had this idea of like, oh, what if there's something going on with this thing that Nathan mentioned, and I'm going to try to investigate that, instead of like, here's the obvious challenge, good thing I have the dice to do something with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking outside the box is something I absolutely encourage in my play, because while you're exploring the world within using a set of systems, still think about how you'd explore the space as a human being. So if you've got the skills to do it, then you can do it. Absolutely. Any other questions about the kind of how mysteries might work in the game?
So I've got a small one regarding sort of the other side of the issue. So for the idea of the Navi that I'm thinking, I'm likely going to be dump statting body and stamina. And then I realized after putting that would make Navi very glass cannon-y, which it would be sort of bad for a mystery if I made a character that died in one hit of arrow.
Well, as this is something that's kind of a little bit of GM fiat in the world of NetBattlers, handling digital combat and what running out of HP means. In the same way that death really isn't going to be a thing for the players, and if you reach 0 HP, you'll need to go to the nurse's office real quick, but you won't die. Characters who are antagonistic to you might be fighting you with various levels of intent. So they might be fighting to subdue you rather than delete you. You might have a backup of your Navi, because this is the kind of setting, because if you have a commercial Navi, unless you're working with some kind of bizarre military tech where it's irreplaceable, you can probably back your Navi up. So don't worry if you... Well, a really important part of noir, and something that I think Tech Noir, the tabletop RPG, talks about, is getting your hands dirty, shaking the tree to see what falls out. So roughing somebody up to get information, or just getting in the mix and fighting people to learn something, is something you can and maybe should do. And don't worry if you get hurt. That's part of the way that the story goes. I won't remove your character from the narrative just because you were unlucky. That's bad. However, also you bring up a good point of the fact that you all have AI assistants. Internet investigation is also a thing that you can do. I definitely want to write some scenarios that are entirely on the internet, like it's an internet mystery, whatever that might be. Who knows what that might be? But yeah, your Navi skills are also important in terms of looking up information for your human counterparts, but also solving cybercrime. Like it's a CSI Cyber. I've never watched an episode of that. Maybe I should.
Probably bad.
Maybe I should. I have a feeling it is absolute garbage, but I think I need to see it just for the tone. Like I'm sure there is something delightfully silly in there that I can just take.
Yeah, please watch it and then tell me if it's worth seeing for so bad it's good.
Absolutely.
Because I live for so bad they're good, like SVU episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The one where Logan Paul is a gamer criminal is incredible.
Yes.
Oh, so it's a documentary. Political jokes on Twitch. Don't ban me. Well, you could ban this account if you want. It's not mine. But
Hey, wait a second. Forward all complaints to @TheRealDonaldTrump. I mean, wait a second. Okay.
Does Donald Trump know how to beat Beaver Bother? All the hits. Zing. Getting back on track. Another important thing I forgot to mention. So I will be trying to do my best in whatever kind of like chat log that we're using while we play to paste irrefutable information. Because while we play a lot, there'll be a lot of just dialogue and me kind of explaining stuff off the cuff as you ask me questions. But that might not be key information to solving mysteries, and that might be unreliable depending on who you get it from. So I will be doing my best to kind of specifically demarcate when you get key clues that are necessary for doing what you need to do, and pasting them in the chat so you can find them again. That to the same end, if there's something that you would like me to clarify about a piece of information that you've gathered and be like, is this canon? I can tell me and I will put it in red text for you if you've seen Umineko. But yeah, just to make sure that mysteries are solvable by you having all the clues. One of the first tabletop mysteries that I ran, I actually had key cards of all the people and clues that they could have physically in front of them and move them around, and it meant that they never forgot a name and they never forgot a piece of evidence. So trying to do that as best as I can in the digital format will be something I'll be experimenting with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Ace Attorney court record, just in the sense that it really does give you a tangible sense of like, okay, here are the people at play, and here are some of the quote unquote objects, whether they're actual objects or whether they are
testimony and stuff like that.
Yeah, testimony. It's I find it very it's a nicely visual way to keep track of those things, because when it's just words, that stuff goes in one ear or the other. And I think I am very bad at note-taking and role-playing at the same time, but I know some people aren't. Like, Sam, I know you did a good bit of note-taking for the Monster Hearts campaign that we did so many years ago. I don't know if you think
I also was the primary note-taker for Ryutama.
That's true.
Ah.
So you would... Not that I'm throwing you under the bus here, or more accurately, into that position, but definitely, I think the more hands at deck for trying to record things, and it doesn't have to be every little thing, but the main salient points would be great.
Okay. I think a communal notes document would be cool. I'll definitely try to put things in. Note-taking in RPGs is pretty easy until you're role-playing in a scene, and then it becomes borderline impossible. So a lot of the times when I'm note-taking, I have to play catch-up with what actually happened in the scene that I was in, which is a little bit frustrating. So I will take notes as needed, but if I'm heavily in a scene, if somebody else could write something down, that would be swell.
Absolutely. We'll all do our best to kind of keep all that stuff logged. I think with all that kind of preamble out of the way, let's actually do a little bit of charge in, shall we?
Ooh. One thing I did want to kind of touch on is when it comes to the... So this is, you said this could be roughly 10 sessions doing 3 mysteries.
Or it's either or, depending on which is more sensible.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so you'll probably there'll be downtime in between doing these 3 kind of major plot arc mysteries. So we can do fun things that aren't solving crimes, and you'll probably be doing the fun things in between while trying to solve those crimes, because you still need to go to school and go on field trips and all that kind of stuff. 10 is the tentative number. It might run longer if people want it to run longer. If 10 is unreasonable, it can be shorter than that. But I think 10 is a good number to get a solid more than one case in, and give you the opportunity to explore and expand on the world and bounce off each other a little bit.
Yeah, it's totally enough time for a good plot arc. What I wanted to ask was, when it comes to... I guess this is kind of less of a question and more of just encouraging you to feel free to, play with the difficulty, because I am... as I said, I really enjoy puzzle games and mysteries as narrative and social puzzles, and just all of the different puzzle elements in there, and I would certainly love to get how shall I say, if you're ever kind of curious to be like, man, I want to throw something like this at the players, but if they totally hit a dead end, then I don't want them just hemming and hawing for forever. I guess what I'm trying to say is I would certainly rather have less of a safety net in place sometimes, and be willing to go into
the opportunity to fail.
Opportunity to fail, and with the feeling of when we play tabletop RPGs, we're always being challenged in some way. We're most of the time, we're being challenged for, acting and creativity and imagination. In some games, you're being challenged for math skills and whatnot, and we all have very fond or strong feelings about those. But
are we playing cool math games, the tabletop RPG?
Yeah, Math Blasters RPG.
Do trick to gather the evidence.
But
no.
When it comes to investigations, I legitimately would like to be challenged a bit as a player, not just as the player character. So
yeah, no, that's cool. I think that's perfectly fair. I guess that's a mixture of that balance between giving you the opportunity to solve things yourself, keeping a pace, and not hand-holding you.
Yeah.
I am more than willing, if people are stuck and you ask me, what should we do next? Because it's a thing your character would know. People are really, really big on kind of saying that, your personal charisma is not your character's charisma. So you can have So for the people who want to roll high charisma bards but aren't good at role-playing in character being smooth, that's fair, and I understand that. That's cool. But for some reason, people don't do that for memory. They're like, if you as a player forget something, then your character forgets it too. And gotcha, you didn't remember that, and that's also really unfair. So if at any point you're kind of what should my character know? I'm happy to remind you, but that, I guess, the difficulty slider on that is whether you tell me and or how often you tell me, that kind of thing. So if you kind of want to kind of rely on yourself to be able to solve those problems, hell yeah, don't ask me for advice. That's entirely okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, I will make sure to kind of throw some difficult challenges in there, and also actively think, for a note for myself, actively think about what will happen if you don't solve the case, I think is where the world will still go on, you won't die. Quite literally. A friend of yours might go to detention for a long period of time and they didn't deserve it, and they might dislike you on the other side of that, but you'll still need to go to school next day, so life will still go on.
I think it was for actually the first NetBattlers mini campaign that I ran it was a 3-session mystery, and it had some really neat moments where the players would all kind of both as player characters, but also as players. You know, they would all go to this. Again, it was a malt shop or something like that, and they would all sit down and be like, "Okay, we've done all this investigating. You know, let's try and put things together. Where do we go from here?" And I think that is, it's like totally a trope, but it's a trope that I really like, and I would feel remiss if the mysteries were just like kind of shuffling along from one, you know, obvious connection to the next to, you know, uncovering, you know, exactly where to go next, etc.
That's fair. That's all good.
So I'm ready for a challenge. Like, so far my plans are, as a character, it's going to be a mind-based Navi, and as a player, I've read all of Encyclopedia Brown, so I think I'm ready.
It's Wikipedia Brown in this setting, by the way.
Excellent.
Let's get into charge then. So because I'd previously run some stuff in the Mainframe City Academy universe, I wanted to give the people who had played in that world the opportunity to reprise those characters if you would like. I think as we kind of resolved off air, you guys are both making new characters, which is absolutely fine, and I'm super cool with that. However, the other previous NPCs and stuff that you've encountered can and will return. I'm more than happy to just kind of refactor all those previous NPCs into this new world by default. But if there are characters that you would definitely like to return, your old previous PCs included, that can totally be done.
Oh yeah, I would love to. I would love to have Vive appear, and I would also be totally happy to, you know, to play him. But also, Junpei is an interesting character to me. I think mostly because when he first appeared, for everyone else, Junpei was he was basically the, like, hey, I need help for one of the one-shots that Nathan ran. It was the VR one that we mentioned earlier.
He's a pro gamer.
Yeah, he was a little gamer kid, and in that session he was, you know, very mild-mannered and needed our help. And Nathan does a cool thing for one-shots in the cinematic universe, where the character will, you know, afterwards you'll get the contact number of the character you helped. And in the one where we were sneaking around a abandoned mall, the character that I was playing, you know, we got to a video game challenge, and I called up Junpei, and he was not in a great place. He was a little gamer gremlin. He was a he had a heated gamer moment.
Oh no.
Though maybe not exactly that, but and I'm interested. I'm interested to see where the
word.
No, I guess even in this universe, a heated gamer moment is mostly just cursing pre-Watershed. Yeah, but to part the curtain briefly, I had basically kind of forgotten the character I gave Junpei previously. And when you were kind of moving around the shopping mall after dark, it's like, what, 2 a.m.
Yeah,
at this point?
It was something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so if this kid is going to be playing video games at 2 a.m., he's probably not going to be in a good place. So...
That's very true, and I think I'm interested to see him return, not just, you know, to kind of poke you in the ribs, but also just to see where's the balance in light and dark in this.
Yeah, no, he was a fun character. So Junpei and Shootman will definitely return. I named them that specifically because I was like, I'm really bad at naming characters in RPGs. What's a Mega Man thing I know? And then I remembered that, like, ages old, like, video game design animatic that Ego Raptor did back in it was like,
Christ.
Jump and Shoot Man, and I'm like, yeah, there we go. Junpei and Shoot Man. Perfect.
Excellent.
Okay, Junpei will return. Any other characters to return?
Yes. So I'm gonna be playing Clarissa from Hexecutable again, because I liked her a lot. And Joe, I think you're the only one who wasn't involved in that, although I think you listened to a little bit of it. A lot was made of Nathan, who was a player in that, his character having Clarissa join a Coven Discord.
Oh my god, I forgot the name of that character. Let's go find
I think her name was like Ivy?
Yeah, that's her Navi was Private Eye, because her dad is a detective, which I guess now having her return would be interesting for that reason alone, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Morgan, there we go. Morgan DeLune and Private Eye.
Yeah, I would love. I feel like Clarissa is going to very much want to be checking for information on the Coven Discord, and I would love if Morgan would make a return appearance.
For those who weren't part of that, they fought a ghost on the internet, and in trying to send this ghost back to where it came from, Private Eye opened up kind of like a portal to an unknown realm, and then became Private Third Eye. So there we go. So I guess that's canon. I guess that's a thing now.
Yeah, and note that was after opening up the digital Akashic records of everything that has ever passed and will ever happen.
Yeah, so she's probably a boss character now. That's fine.
Yeah, she's now able to cheat on every exam forever.
No. Although I think asking your NetNavi for help on an exam is probably already cheating. Joe, any kind of previous mainframe city characters you'd like to return?
So let's see. Probably none for my character. I've like looked over all my past characters. Either that'd be like and Navi I wouldn't return to, or a NetOp that probably wouldn't be like fun to play in these kind of campaign. But as far as returning, I really like the cast of club leaders.
Yes,
agreed.
But I figured that was like already a given.
I mean, it was a given, but in this case, you kind of went, "Oh man, I really hate Calliope von Blitzschlag. She's the worst. I would not include her." But you'd be wrong. She's the greatest.
They're all so great.
Okay. Yes.
I wonder, is Tony gonna be staying as the Net Battle Club president?
I mean, that's canon, I guess. So sure. Yeah.
Despite being a freshman, one of the cockiest.
I mean, so to kind of talk about previous history that matters to no one but us, the initial kind of like the initial Net Battler scenario that I ran to kind of test the system with the kind of like holographic arcade that was partially in place. Grant Carmona, the guy who is one of the student council, because you know that the student council in this school are like top tier. They're terrifying. You don't mess with them. So Grant Carmona is in charge of all of the Net Battle clubs. He's the club admin. And he was kind of like, yes, Tony, if you want to step with us, then if you lose, you will forfeit your right to the club. That additional bit of pointless melodrama. And you guys won, so you still have the club. The Net Battle Club does exist in this setting, and I guess is now run by Tony. So, yeah, Tony will return. I'll pester you for his character sheet in a bit.
Come to think of it, I feel like Perry's relationship to Vive, I should say, for some reason, the best comparison that comes to mind is the Queen of England and her corgis, where, as I'm just, Vive is this overeager bean that is just so, he's doing his best, damn it.
Yeah, Perry Halstead is also a favorite of mine. She is the fencing club captain. She stars herself after Sailor Uranus and oh man, I've forgotten the lead in Revolutionary. Utena, the main character in Revolutionary Girl, Utena. So she's a tomboy. She thinks herself as a prince or a knight, and is very concerned with honor. And probably has epaulets on her school uniform. But yeah, she's great, and definitely will continue to be Vive's personal sword fighting mentor. She sees a lot of potential in him. He'll be a chivalrous knight yet. But yes, your characters. Let's get into that kind of stuff. So normally in NetBattlers, the characters that you play are grade schoolers. They are about like 8 to 10. But I find it a little easier to or I find it a little bit more complex and interesting to tell stories about teenagers, because there's all sorts of complicated emotions and circumstances that go on with teenagers. So this is your standard like British high school age range from 11 to 16. So I guess the kind of like first question is, what age would your characters like to be?
I'm going with 14.
Okay. You've been at the school a little while. You're well established. Did you take the entrance exam, or were you scouted?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Feel free to also. I'm writing this down on my side, but also kind of like take notes on your own character, please, because I'll forget.
Yeah, totally. I actually haven't thought about my NetOp nearly as much as my NetNavi, as the one half of the screen that has not changed for anyone watching. I now scroll down to show my entire NetNavi, but yeah, I need to think for my NetOp. I think he probably made it in on the entrance exam.
Cool. And do they live on campus or do they commute in?
I'm going to say they live on campus. Gives them a little bit more time to get up to all kinds of shenanigans with gardening and dancing, I suppose.
So entrance exam on campus. Nice. Joe, how old is your character?
I think I'm. You know what? I think I'm gonna go with 13 because I want to stick with around the same age, and I don't really have a good idea of the implications.
So one of the shiny new things that's been added to NetBattlers is that you can play as a teenager, and the rules are slightly different, and your stats are a little better. So you could feasibly play somebody who is not a teenager, be 11 or 12, and play with the kid stat set, and that's cool. This isn't the kind of game where you need the best build with all the numbers. Like, no one cares. So if you want to be the youngest kid, then that is absolutely fine. You can be a first-year freshman. Yes, words. And that's also entirely legit. But yeah, 13, cool. Did you get in on the entrance exam, or were you scouted?
So what does that mean?
So like this school, similar to Danganronpa a little bit, really heavily values the talents and hobbies of the people who go there. So they will sometimes invite people to join the school who they personally feel are very talented. They might have a bit more of a public presence. So you tend to get like young actors and singers, for example, scouted by the school to join when they hit like 11, or even after they're they might join midway through at 13 because they've recently appeared on Broadway and the head of the school's been like, talent. So you might, for example, have a talent that you're known for and the school scouted you.
So I have a idea for what I want my character to be. General premise. So his name is Tom, and he's a bit big for his age. He's not like the sharpest, but he's absolutely obsessed with bugs.
Okay.
So he had like
a entomologist. That's right.
So he had a bit of like a rough stage when he was younger, but since he's been able to like channel his energies like to etymology, like going out in the wilderness, going out into like either the wilderness or abandoned buildings and getting rare and strange bugs, and he's a hard worker kind of guy.
Sure.
And, also he can, and also is a bit like bigger than the rest of the kind of people who tend to be entomologists.
The kind of permanent farmer's tan kid.
Okay, I mean that actually works in quite well to you maybe being scouted if you found something that previously unseen in your neck of the woods. Like if you've made the discovery, they'd probably scout you on that.
Oh, so actually, yeah, that would be very sort of ironic because he's which I like, because the idea that he's sort of he went into entomology to sort of like go off on his own and do his own thing, and suddenly he stumbled into fame, and now he's that bug guy.
That bug guy.
I think I'd actually like to do a bit of revisionist history, and I think it would actually be kind of make more sense if Philo made it in. Hold on, I marked down the pronunciation. Philo. If Philo made it in off of being scouted, because boy, he has learned a lot about dancing and about botany. Boy, he does not know a lot of other things. this one mind boy.
Absolutely fine. Cool. He's also been scouted. And Joe is your character on Tom. That's right. Are they on campus or do they commute in?
I'm going to say on campus.
Okay, no problem. And Sam.
Okay. So I am playing, as I said, a character from a previous one-shot. Her name is Clarissa. Clarissa is a member of the junior librarians of the local library. She has kind of she's a bit of an old soul, despite she was 12 last time we saw her. I think it's been a couple of months. I think she's 13. She always wants to kind of prove herself as capable and adult, even if that means she's trying to punch far above her weight. She thinks she can do it, and she's gonna do it.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah, she's also, as you might imagine, an avid reader who really likes her local library. I'm guessing that she was
in the group.
Yeah, I'm the mind. I am the mind person for this detective story. I think that she probably dreamed about being scouted, but given that her area of expertise is reading books, was not quite special enough to.
She crushed the entrance exam.
Yeah, so I think she entered the normal way. I think she lives on. I like the idea of her home is actually close enough that it would be fairly easy for her to commute, but because she wants to be on her own, she can be on her own, Mom. She basically pleaded and got her parents to let her live on campus.
On campus with friction. Your parents might want you back home if they catch you getting into trouble. There's some drama. Nice. Okay, so y'all are all teenagers. That's good. That means your stats are a little different. So let's go and resolve that real quick before we get into some of the other bits and pieces. So normally there is a standard spread of skills where your stats all start at 1, except 1 is at 2, so you can have 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, so on. Because you're a teenager, 2 of your stats start at 2. So of mind, body, and soul, 2 of those are going to be 2, and 1 of them will be at 1.
So now it is, instead of it being like 2 and then 4 1s, it's 2 2s and 1 1. Actually, wait, that's very cleanly. These stats are 2 2 1 and these skills are 2 2 1.
Wait. Oh, I thought it was 2 with 4 1s. Or actually, I need to look up.
It's 2. The teenagers is 2 2s and 2 1s. Will misspoke earlier.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I guess I'm a fake fan.
Actually, I think that might be a typo, because to call you out live on air, I do believe when the kid stats you get 5 skills with numbers in them, and currently you have 4 skills with numbers in them as a teenager, so that might need to change slightly.
Right, I think that was I think that was intentional.
Okay.
Because you're getting
better at things, but at fewer things. Fair.
Right. And I mean, also just thinking about, like, you are actually better at more things with 2 stats and 2.
Yeah.
But Sam is correct. It's 2 and 2 and 2 and 1, or 2 2 1 1 for less confusing number counting.
So since I have a pre-established character who I'm aging up for this slightly.
You can just change the stat block. I'm not fussy about you retaining state from your previous game.
Okay.
Nah. the tabletop RPG cops aren't going to bust into this call and they're like, "You've not maintained the canon. You're coming with me."
I think I'm
Scott Pilgrim style, the vegan police jump in.
That is definitely the voice a character's going to have going forward.
Mr. Potter.
It's very much a teacher voice. Of course it is.
Also, Nathan, just mentioning this now because I don't want to forget it. I opened the common mystery data that I got from
the previous
Hexafutable.
session.
It was a lot of Zenny, mostly, but I got a mysterious note.
Wait a second. Did you open? Actually, wait. It doesn't matter. Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay.
It was what the common mystery data told me I got out of this.
Okay, interesting.
Was this
we might talk about off air what that might be.
Yeah, if you want to take advantage of that,
Yeah.
you have nothing established for what's on that note. I would love for that to be the case.
I love
'cause
the
that's-
fact that-
I think that might be the lead into the first case. Then that's fine.
Just out of curiosity, did you roll that on the tables in Beta 3 because they got updated in Beta 3?
I did beta 4 for the common mystery datas.
There is no Beta 4.
The release
caught in the
candidate.
Oh, sorry. What did you say, Sam?
The release candidate you sent me.
Oh,
I guess it was beta 3 RC4 or something like that.
Okay, it doesn't really matter. I was just curious.
I'm fine with you having mad cash and the mysterious note. Like, who gives a hell? I know that, like, so on the NetBattlers Discord, which you can go to by looking in the doobly-doo, there are a lot of people who play what we call NetBattle Club, which is a series of one-shots run by lots of different GMs, but your character is persistent, so the items that you get in one session you can use in another. And some people are very, very into that and are really dedicated in keeping their character consistent across all the games they play, and I super don't care. So do what you want with your character. For the people who are making new characters, I think we'll have a little bit of a discussion off there about like stuff like chips and NCPs, because I think you should probably start with some stuff. You're third years, so it would be weird if you had nothing. But also, determining that kind of stuff on camera might be a little tedious, so either we'll leave that to last when we'll see how long we've been running for, or do that bit off air if that's okay.
Okay.
It's been about an hour and a half so far.
Yeah. Maybe 2.5 hours would be my kind of like stopping limit for this. But yeah, okay. Does everybody have their stat block for their net op?
You bet.
I'm still thinking about how to upgrade this, but I know what I want to do. So
okay, that's cool. I'm not gonna handhold you through it on air. I can just look at it later. That's fine.
I know how to do it.
Yeah, you know how to enter numbers into a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Big boy. Oh,
That's
congratulations!
Mainframe City Academy really scouted me for my number entering ability.
Yeah, you have a stellar career in data entry. I swear. Is Tom's character sheet good?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right.
Link it somewhere.
No, you're right for now. I don't need to look at it. I'm not gonna do that because I need to look at my notes. I will immediately forget if notes leave my line of sight. So let's not do that. Another thing that's been added in this kind of like little advanced package, as well as teenager stats, you also have talents, which is a thing I suggested and then Will made better. What can I say? I'm gracious. So. Because you are people who have hobbies and are good at things, you have 2 talents, things that you narratively are innately good at. So when you make a roll and it's related to your talent, if you get a failure or a partial, you can turn that into a success.
And that is
but once per session.
Once per session per talent, so you can use each. You can use each talent once per session.
This means we don't get into circumstances where, for example, we're in a garden and we need to find which plant is poisonous, and then Philo makes an info roll and gets 0 successes and goes, I don't know, I forgot everything I know about plants.
I don't know, is it a dandelion maybe?
Because that would be silly. So,
be silly.
yeah, now you can be actually good at the things you're good at. So, actually, let's go into that. Philo, what are your 2 talents?
Yeah.
Well, I think we already know.
My talents are botany and dance.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And I'll stop whipping the screen around so people on stream can see that.
Cool. Sam, what are your 2 talents?
Good question. I think research is probably one of them. Unless that's too, like... To like, we're doing a mystery and my thing is research, like how I originally turned
It's
up.
kind of like a free info roll per session.
Yeah. Let me think about that actually.
Maybe that needs to be specified a little bit. So if it's, for example, like libraries.
Yeah.
I think
libraries, I think, is definitely a talent. I'm not sure about my second one. I'll try to brainstorm it quick while we're doing
Aside
this.
from being a book nerd, what kind of hobbies do you have?
I mean, you were interested in the occult.
I know. Actually, I was just gonna say, I think since joining Morgan's Coven, I think Clarissa's probably interested in witchcraft. Can my talents be libraries and witchcraft?
Yes. Because it means I get to write mysteries about witchcraft, so yes.
Nathan, are you part of a coven IRL?
Yes, I am part of a coven IRL.
Oh, right.
I am the dedicated tarot reader in my cyberpunk coven. I'm not even lying.
Specifically a cyberpunk coven. That's
it's important.
That is the most you thing I've ever heard.
I was just gonna say it's the most Nathan thing ever.
Just at me directly next time, why don't you? Tom, what are your two talents, Tom? Well, we know that one of them is etymology.
So as a question about that, is that like applicable to when stretched? Like if I, have to search for something small and I pull out a magnifying lens?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of a level of back and forth negotiation and what is and isn't appropriate. I am very flexible on what you can use your skills to do because I want you to find the clues. So yes, if you can think of, even if I'm sure there will be edge cases where I'll be like, that's too much of a stretch, but I think we're all adults enough here to like not get hurt feelings if I say no. But I think for the most part you can be creative about your talent and I'll say yes.
So yeah, entomology is definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I want to have another one for a bit of a, I guess, troubled past kind of thing. To add a little bit of that, what cliche spice, whatever. But we could put a twist on it.
Cliche spice is my favorite spice.
That's all of them. I think having a bit of a troubled past is very much within the realms of noir, so that's cool. I'm cool with that.
So I'm thinking either breaking and entering or something like involving brawling. As in, like, I don't do that anymore, but...
Larceny as a talent is kind of delightful, actually.
I mean, like, it's not for stealing. It's more just, like, getting into abandoned buildings,
Sure. There is a perfect term for that, but I'm struggling at the moment.
What's the term? Urban exploration?
Yeah, urbex. That's pretty cool. I think that's probably a hobby you have. You definitely have urbex as a hobby. So yeah, urban exploration is a good talent to have. I think that's fair.
When you say like urbex, it just makes it sound like an Elon Musk project.
I don't know. I read a lot of Cory Doctorow novels when I was young and impressionable, and it's ruined me. He is a good author, but he definitely writes for people more male and more straight than I am. Okay, we have our talents. Neato. Navies, I guess, is the other bits and pieces. We don't necessarily... How much of kind of like digging into Navi building do you want to do right now? Do we want to discuss the Navi powers and stuff now, or do we want to leave that later, or just kind of hit the core archetypes of what our Navis are?
I'm already there, baby.
Yeah, you jumped the gun. You did.
I leapt clean over that gun. I am fine with whichever. I think it depends on how quickly people think they'll snap to like, oh yeah, this and this, or can I get a shadow?
I mean, frankly, we can shuffle it around for the exact details.
Oh yeah. Even if you just kind of think about like the skills that you're good at as a Navi, and maybe a couple of your powers, even if you can't think of all three right now. And obviously, when we I will say after the first session, if we run the first session, you're like, I really hate how this character is built, then we can absolutely change that. You're not locked in. So, because that would suck to play a character you don't like to pilot. That seems like a really entry-level thing for tabletop stuff, and people don't do that, and I don't get why. Stares into camera.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's easier to fix a character with bad numbers than a character who's just unpleasant.
Yeah. So I know that Philo's Navi is already set in stone. What's Philo's Navi's name?
Trendafear.exe.
Yes, it was long and I struggled to pronounce it when I read it.
Say that again slower.
Trendafear. It's Trandafir.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's the I believe it's the Latin word for rosebush.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Need to double check that.
It definitely sounds like the kind of name somebody from the Fey realm would have.
no,
maybe with an additional Y.
I'm sorry, it is Romanian and it's borrowed from Greek.
Ah, interesting.
But yeah.
But that's a cool name. Cool. And they are cool rose guy. I am super they, them, or he, him?
I think we'll go with he, him for now.
Sure.
Yeah. And he is a super flashy Navi. He is, he's got those 6 charm dice. He is he knows how to lay it on. And
okay.
Yeah, his powers are hypnotize, control, and model edit with his element of flowers. So he is very much he might struggle a bit with subtlety, but then he can always take another form to blend in better.
Yeah. By the by, I will, even though it's not necessarily in the rule set for model edit, I will absolutely let you spend a point in charm to just change your outfit. That's legal. You can do that. As long as you describe in reasonable detail what the outfit is, you can absolutely do that.
I'm gonna be honest. I was planning on just every time he jacks in, he's going to have a different, a slightly different outfit based on a different kind of dance. But I didn't want to have to spend a point of charm on it. I was just.
Are you playing Metaton?
No, but closer than you might expect.
I mean, he knows his target audience being me, so yeah.
What? Nathan, what about a gay robot would be targeted to
you? People just like to cast aspersions about my character, and they're entirely right. So, Joe, what is Tom's Navi?
So Tom's Navi is Lumi. Lumi is a rather small Navi, just like a few feet tall, and Lumi looks a bit like a moth. And Lumi's a bit of a shy, anxious sort, but Lumi's very smart, so he's always like a bit, hides in the background, but like can be a bit paranoid, curious, the kind of guy who would have like a bulletin board with like string and post-it notes.
Oh, he's got a conspiracy board. Oh, Jesus.
Sort of like a bit of a contrast with Tom's sort of a chill. Okay, yeah, we'll get there. He's like, I was like, what about this? Are we in danger? That kind of thing.
Meanwhile, Trendafear comes in like, what do you mean danger? Look at us. We're bold, we're beautiful. How could we be in danger?
Meanwhile, Lumi's dodging the feet of your dance. Don't you think we should, take it slow? There's a murderer about.
There's a murderer about. That only means we need to go faster.
Oh gosh, yes, this dynamic is already great.
There's a murder about because I've killed this outfit.
I came here to slay. Don't put me in jail, please. Also kind of relating to the fact that Lumi is quite tiny. Because you are a third year and you will have accumulated stuff from just being a student who does things, you'll probably have some Navi customizer parts, which we'll probably discuss off air. I'm fully happy to let you start with like press, for example, so you can mechanically be small.
I figured it was just like not small enough to be like tiny. So like probably easier to throw, but not like like fit in a pocket.
You're not going full Tinkerbell. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've got Trendafear, we've got Lumi. I remember that Clarissa's Navi is like a badass statue lady.
Yes. So Clarissa's Navi is Alexandria.exe. She is, I wrote, statuesque, and I mean that literally. She appears to be made of living marble, with like an elegant flowing robe, and she is perpetually holding a book. Her personality, oh, she's also very tall. Her personality is like somewhat icy, kind of haughty. She thinks very highly of herself, and she, in a way, she kind of, I feel like, embodies like Clarissa's worst and best tendencies. Like, Clarissa's very smart, she's very confident, she's maybe a little overconfident, and I feel like Alexandria is like that pushed to the farthest possible extreme.
Nice. Also, the very first character I made for NetBattlers was Masterpiece.exe, whose element is artwork, but really their element should be vaporwave. So they are like a living artist mannequin with a marble bust where the head would be. And Mosley, Masterpiece's operator, absolutely is part of the journalism club at MCA. So Alexandria is going to make a friend.
Nice.
I'm calling that shot now. Alexandria and Masterpiece will meet in setting, whether Alexandria likes it or not. Cool. So we have our kind of like base concepts for our characters. Alexandria's Navi powers are already in place.
Yes.
Are Lumi's Navi powers in place?
No. I know he's going to be a mind build and dumping body. And
Okay.
I'm thinking of getting warp as one of my powers, but I haven't hired down the other ones.
Cool. Feel free to add warp for now. We don't need to kind of pick through the finer details for now. I just wanted to double check where you were on that.
Sam, can you remind me of like the broad strokes of your build?
Sure. It's mostly an affinity build. I have 6 die in affinity. My Navi power was where the most relevant one is control, which for those of you who don't know, each Navi has an element. Alexandria's element is statues, and affinity is how you interact with that element. So control lets you attack with your element. So Alexandria does a lot of like creating weird statue weapons and throwing them at the enemy.
Yeah, you just make a giant statue, and then the statue punches somebody, and then they go, "Oh my god!"
And basically just Edward Elricking at the beginning of
great.
this. My other powers were blind mode and refresh. I might change them. I'm not sure.
That's okay. After all, you've had the chance to kind of pilot them for executable. So if there are other Navi powers that make you be like, yeah, absolutely, go choose those and change them later if you think they're bad.
Yeah, I didn't mind that build, but I think I could possibly make it more interesting. So I might take a look at some point.
Cool.
Yeah, it might be worth taking a look at some, not that this is a, super power gamey, we need the optimum builds, but just thinking for, diversity is fun. Might be worth looking at some body skills because, Joe, what's the name of your Navi again?
Lumi.
Lumi is dumping body, and Trendafir is not technically dumping body, but boy, he's not investing much in it. So you can be a special, hard-boiled detective.
I am a big fan of strong statue ladies, so that's cool. Steven Universe has taught me that they are great,
and then he went and made it weird.
No, not like that. Not like that. In the same way that kind of like one of my favorite character archetypes is sword lesbian, but like not in the. Well, yeah, you've met Perry Holstead, the best sword lesbian. It's like I'm always glad that the majority, especially like anime fighting games, have at least one sword lesbian character. It does my heart well. An interesting thing to add is that there'll be various little bits of custom content in this game. Yeah, I know. Primarily, the existence of Navi errors, which is a little bit of a bonus splat that I wrote a little while ago. They're like Navi powers, except bad for you. So basically, Navi errors are rules that your Navi now has to follow because they have been damaged, corrupted, altered in some kind of way. That means that they are not running as correctly as they would otherwise. These range from things like at the start of combat, the first thing that you have to do is bolster your defenses in some way, to you can never tell the truth. And usually what I would like to do is kind of, rather than you pick errors now, them be bestowed through play, through bad things happening, usually in an ironic way to how you ate shit. So if you got defeated in a particular way, that might generate an error that relates to that, for example. Or if you install a Navi customizer part that's really cheap, sure, you got the Navi customizer part for really cheap and it does what it says it does, but it's also instilled this additional error into you and you're like, so those will come into play. I will say that the bit that you only really need to concern yourself with for now is that if you take fatal damage, you can choose to ignore the fatal damage and take an error once per session. So if the chips are down and you've been hit with an attack you can't avoid and there's no one to save you, you're not out just yet. You can still keep fighting, but at an ironic cost.
Also, presumably, after you pop overload, if you've got any bond points.
Yeah, that's also a thing. But you might not want to spend those bond points because you wanted to do it for something else. Options. Speaking of bond points, let's get into bonds, clubs, and rumors. So, I know, right? Well, it's a high school. Rumors are like 30% of the experience. So in NetBattlers, a part of the actual system is bonds between players and sometimes non-player characters. It is essentially one of the ways that your NetOp gets stronger, but it also benefits your Navi as well in combat. By going through difficult times with your friends, you get closer and you unlock special abilities. Straight up, I will... So, as it stands, I was kind of operating in the space that each of you would have 1 point of a bond with the other person, so you would all start with 2 bond points, 1 for each other. Yeah. So let's go and explore that a little, and kind of talk about what particular event you had in your past that gave you that bond point with that person, because that's interesting. So, Philo, what kind of previous did you have with Tom?
Man,
you were technically their upperclassman.
True. This is tough. I really haven't felt out it, or I should say, I've had a hard time feeling out Philo's character. I'd say in terms of, let's see, something we had in our past.
Which, obviously, Tom, feel free to get in on this brainstorming session, because it's your past, too.
So remind me of Philo?
So, Philo is... he's 14 years old. He is very talented in botany and in dance, and I think that's certainly where he spends most of his time.
I feel like a botanist and a bug obsessive could get along.
Oh yeah, actually there was probably some kind of bug that was just, totally devastating a lot of plants, and needed to call upon a higher power to help him figure out how to deal with this best, after, a lot of the standard tricks in the book didn't deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a general idea of where you're taking Philo's character?
In terms of his personality,
Yeah.
That is kind of frustratingly the main roadblock I'm running into. He's got 4 charm, so he's definitely not a total not a total dork. I think. Oh my god! It all clicked in my mind. It's just like one of those moments where all of the puzzle pieces just click and the Millennium Puzzle just starts glowing. And what came out of my mind is this... I don't know where I've seen this trope or character before, but I feel like it was probably on... I hate that I'm saying this on Orin High School Host Club.
Oh no, that's absolutely in tone for what this is, so that's fine.
Of the idea of this like lanky blonde guy holding like in one of those, you know, gardening aprons and whatever, holding some flowers, and just turning around like as he's got like sparkles coming out behind him, and he's a one-mind boy for a reason. He does not. He is a little.
Philo is Tamaki from Orin Host Club. That's great. Yes,
I love it.
I don't know who that character is, but I'm going to say yes.
He's the lanky blonde guy.
Blonde lead in Orin.
So yeah, he's very much a God, wow, what a divine inspiration, I suppose. So very much maybe not exactly oh god, what's his name, head of Die Hard,
John McClane,
but the actor.
Oh, Bruce Willis.
Yeah, he's very much not a Bruce Willis kind of guy. Actually, if he was into baking, he would have been like the best character on Great British Bake Off.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Okay. I get it.
I think. There you
He's
go.
a soft boy. He's a soft boy.
He is
Great.
such a soft bean.
He's a fabulous soft boy, basically, is what you're saying.
And,
Okay. So, you know, Philo's relationship with Tom in that regard would be quite cute. I'm already picturing the kind of idea of you going into the MCA like greenhouse, which is massive, and you just go in and there's just bugs chewing up the tomato plants. You're like, oh!
It's absolutely like a just you know, piano discord.
Yeah. No, and Tom manages to swoop in and save your week.
So, I've got an idea for a twist to add on to this. So this was I was scouted, so I was likely not here for the entire, you know, whatever how many years you're in the school.
Oh, you've joined recently. Okay.
Like, but like not recently, but more recently than. So this was like the. So this happened in like the first week of me coming in here.
Sure.
So making Philo one of my first friends. Because I was like,
nice.
all these guys, they're like, they aced the exam. I just found a bug. And then then you asked me for help, and we hit it off like that.
Yes. So in Tom's first week, helps Philo save his plants. Wonderful. Love it. Nice. Clarissa and Tom, what background do y'all have?
I feel like Clarissa would have assisted Tom in finding a lot of books about bugs in the library.
Oh, so maybe it was that I sort of came to you for help because, you know, classes are hard.
Possibly. Oh, could I be like a tutor?
Oh, that's really cute. Yes.
Like to make some extra money on the side. Because that seems like Clarissa would definitely have that entrepreneurial spirit. I feel like she offers tutoring to students who are having trouble.
So I came to the library looking for all the bug books, and I saw one of your flyers.
Yeah.
Like, do you know? I'm looking for a Clarissa who's tutoring. Do you know where she sits?
Nice. I think on one occasion you've managed to dip into the forbidden section in MCA library and go and find a book on dark entomology to give to Tom, for instance.
Wow, dark entomology, the most forbidden art.
I mean, bugs are already kind of like low-key scary. You don't want to see a chaos butterfly, you'll actually just perish.
They cause hurricanes stuff.
I mean, I'm kind of doing a bit, but like, do you want to have found a particularly difficult or hidden book for Tom in exchange?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what like dark bug book would exist though.
I mean, you know, it can be. As much as this is a noir, I don't think I can do anything like too serious until it goes there. So like, levels of what would be believable in an anime. You could believe like a really prestigious anime would A, have a forbidden section, and B, have a book on like evil bugs.
I feel like it might be a book on like the like possible effects of different like bug venom.
Mm.
Like which bug venoms would like, not that we're necessarily going to be poisoning people, but like,
No.
you know, if you want to make a sleeping powder, you can take the venom of this like scorpion and
it's alchemy now. I was imagining it was something nasty like, you know, how to raise botflies or, you know, some ghastly bug like that. Do you guys know what botflies are?
yes, they're horrible.
Yeah, no, that's the darkest entomology book. You can't find that one in the library. That's not there. Now that you're like, oh yes, we can craft a sleeping agent, like, well, now this game has a crafting element. I'm gonna have to work out how that works.
Oh god.
But no, I like that. Clarissa is Tom's tutor, and also Clarissa has found a couple of surprisingly hard to get books on bugs for Tom in the past. I like that. Nice. And finally, Clarissa and Philo.
Yeah, let's see. Clarissa and Philo. So I think in this situation, just to complete the triangle, this should maybe be something you went to Philo for help with.
You're very charismatic. Clarissa can be a little off-putting, I think, because she's so like
You're a
intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, pure but intense. She will immediately talk your ear off about how great whatever you just mentioned is, and so I think maybe we established at the end of Hexecutable that Clarissa runs the After Dark book club in the library, which we can transfer that from the West Core library to the main was it Mainframe City Academy? What's the name of the thing that I'm playing in?
Yeah, no, you got it. You got it. I'm pretty sure that MCA has a private library building.
Yeah,
it's like a separate building.
So I feel like Clarissa might come to Philo. Is that how you pronounce it?
Philo.
Philo. Might come to Philo to try to get him to like advertise her book club, or just to join it.
Yeah, I guess I'm seeing him as like he's very effortless in being charismatic. He's not like, you know, he doesn't need to like put on a face or, you know,
he's not like a salesman.
It's interesting actually, kind of in contrast to Trandafir, who's very much effortful in everything he does. Philo is just kind of naturally like,
yeah, then I think it could just be as simple as like Clarissa has been trying to get you to join her book club. I don't know if you have or not, but
I mean, it might work. That's a reasonable way for you to be all connected in to the plot on hand. Hello? Oh, have I disconnected?
No,
Sorry.
Oh no, you're here.
Oh no, that was I think because the music was taking its time changing on my side. It's like, oh gosh, did the internet break midstream? I'm dying.
Actually, if we could take a real quick break, I'm quite parched. I would like to get some
that
more.
is absolutely cool. I think with having resolved your bonds, we can kind of take a brief break.
Yeah, I think I want to workshop the one with Philo and Clarissa a little bit more, but
Yeah, we can make that stronger.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to nail that first before we go for additional water?
No, you guys can go for water. Sam has already gone for water. He doesn't give a heck about you. So I shall mull that over in the meantime.
Gosh, I think since we're in a little bit of a break, I am going to actually look at Twitch, because I wasn't looking at Twitch because I was too busy stressing out about making sure my notes were in order. So I am more than happy to, for those who are currently watching, to do stuff like answer questions and talk about, you know, the stuff that we do and tabletop stuff, because I think that's cool. Do I not already follow you on Twitch? Why do I not do that?
Read out all the names.
Oh yeah, no, we need to go and thank our Patreon supporters or what have you.
Yeah, I mean, we had, I think like for the first hour and a half, we had like a steady 9 or 10 viewers. Now we've got 5, but that is still 5 viewers.
That's cool. I mean, it's lots of people who can watch in the background. Okay, I am actually looking at the Twitch chat now. Hi, everybody. Although it's giving me ads about Omen HP laptops, so that's fun too. Love being advertised to whilst also doing a Cyberpunk campaign. It matches real nicely. Good evening, Quagsass. Thank you for joining us for so long on this. Because we've been running for 2 hours now, so thanks for joining us.
This is a nice jam right now. This sounds like what's his name? Masafumi Takada?
It is. It's from Danganronpa V3.
I knew it.
Yeah. No, this is their version of the kind of like hanging around town theme.
Yeah,
so it's almost like a remix of the first two combined. It's pretty great. Yeah, no, the corporations are absolutely trying to muscle in on my vibe. I try so hard to be punk, and they just come in and harsh that.
Yeah, actually, something I wanted to mention. I definitely hope. I know you did a write-up for this zine you're working on different kinds of mysteries, and I kind of realized I think I'm most fond of mysteries that involve a more restricted location and just kind of iterate on that, because just comparing like why did I find Danganronpa 1's environment way more compelling than 2's? It's because it's so claustrophobic, but it's so the atmosphere is more interesting to me, but also the fact that you can definitely keep everything in your head at once. And having that element of, if it's small enough that you can keep everything in your head, you can put more detail and whatnot in there, and then you can do cool callback stuff and whatnot.
No, definitely. I wrote lots of different ways of running mystery games in that document, and I will be trying to probably run each of them at least once as we go. In fact, I will also post the link to that document in the Twitch doobly-doo. So people who are people who are watching this after the fact can still see chat comments, so they can still click on that and look at this work in progress. So
I'm probably going to be uploading this to YouTube, but I will put a link to that in the description if you remind me.
Cool, will do. Neat. But yeah. So other people who are following along can also see what I feel about mysteries. We're all back. Let's return.
I think I might have cracked the code on Clarissa and Philo. So we have we've established that there are probably class president elections, and Clarissa would be very interested in that. I think I'm imagining establishing these as being structured kind of like United States presidential elections, where there is a president and a vice president.
Okay.
I think Clarissa would want Philo to be her vice president because he's charismatic and can bring in the voters. Either that or they're running against each other.
I will also add that if there's going to be a class president automatically gets a voice within the student council. And it might be something like year president rather than class, depending on how big the school is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's going to be multiple classes in 1 year. But yeah, people who are year president absolutely get an ear of the student council, which, whew.
I think what's tough is I feel like Philo he's so easygoing that I think it would be really hard to convince him to get into politics. Like he's very much not the kind of person who would be, fired up to, we gotta change the system or whatever. He'd be like, well, I'd love to dance with some of these people.
That's what makes it so much funnier. Like, you don't even know what you're getting into.
I think
you just ask to try and get signatures, then trouble starts.
Oh my god. So you've basically duped him into thinking that this, political campaign is some kind of after-school, dance or dinner club or something like that.
Yeah. I have no interest, and you probably have no interest in, your political
Also correct. Yes.
maneuvering, Clarissa just knows that like because like class president elections often turn into like popularity contests in like high school and middle school. Clarissa's like, I'm actually going to want to be a part of the student council, but I don't have the popularity to pull this off. I need a running mate. And you're just like the figurehead that she like throws in front of people to be like, look at this guy, you like this guy, vote for me.
Oh man, this is going to be such an interesting. I think this is going to be the overarching arc of the entire like campaign. I think relatively early on, there's going to be the kind of like, yeah, we're going to be taking in the votes for like year president, and something horrible will happen in regards to that, and it will all come to a head in the final episode of the season because that's how we do. So, all right, cool. This gives me some seeds to work with. Interesting.
Oh, by the way, Sam, feel free to pull me in as a flunky, as in like, I've been tutoring you, so you owe me a favor.
Yeah.
But I pay you.
More favors. Never enough. Okay, cool. So a next fun question, to partially get the personality of all of you and partially so I can kind of work it into the narrative. What is your favorite school subject and why?
English, easy.
And why?
Well, I guess for Clarissa, like, not reading is fantastic because you can enter somebody else's world, and it's like being a Navi. You get to enter a new world and explore that world, and that's so exciting.
Specifically like English literature. Good point. Cool. You're old enough now where they're probably going to split it between language and literature. Entering other people's worlds. Nice.
So
let's go with Tom. Yeah.
Tom's is going to be science, biology, because it's the only one he's not struggling with. That's the short of it. He really likes looking at nature. Thanks, Clarissa, for helping me pass all the rest.
You're welcome. You owe me. Even though you paid me.
I pay you.
Clarissa is just a young entrepreneur.
Look, knowledge is a priceless skill, okay?
Yeah, you're right.
Thinks of all the rare books that Tom has on bugs. Yeah, you're right. Philo, what's your favorite subject and why?
Man, it's tough. I'm trying to because this one-line boy is skating through on so many things that aren't actually knowing much about his subjects. I'm trying to think. I feel
drama
like
is pretty feasible.
True. I feel like it would probably be. Oh man, I think it would probably be social studies for a similar reason of like learning about all the different places, but with a greater focus on getting to learn about their cultures, the things that they eat, the things that they cook.
Anthropology.
Philo, oh my god, Philo absolutely cooks. Oh my god, this is.
I really like Philo.
What an incredible soft boy he's become.
You're gonna have to roll to cook at some point. That's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
I best hope you're not gonna be asking for an info roll on that.
No. Obviously, you'd be able to use the stats that you're good at to do a thing you're good at. Like, what? Okay. And last kind of important question in this section. What is a rumor you've heard within your time at Mainframe City Academy? This will help shape the sessions that I write for you, so think hard. Who's suspicious? Is a teacher suspicious? Is a classmate suspicious? Is there a club room that you've never been inside?
Oh, yes. There is totally some room that has been in one room in a very well-traveled building that is locked and the door does not seem to be very well maintained. and there's a number of different rumors about what was in there, whether it was like an old teacher's lounge, a bathroom that's fallen out of repair and never got put together, or a classroom where something terrible happened in it. But there are a lot of rumors that there is some kind of tunnel or hatch or something like that in the room that leads to other areas.
That sounds good. I'm cool with that. There's an old locked door in a surprisingly public place. Is there a tunnel inside? Cool.
Catacombs, that's what I was looking for, yes.
Ooh,
They lead
oh
to the
god.
catacombs.
It's just straight up dead bodies underneath the school. All right.
It doesn't need to be French catacombs.
Yeah, that's why they keep their Amontillado wine.
If you want the door open, you just need to ask Tom. I mean, I don't do that anymore, but...
For the love of God, Mr. May. Yes, for the love of God.
That reminds me, I never asked. Okay, so speaking of characters we want to see reappear, these characters did not appear in Mainframe City Academy. They were in Into the Woods, but
Our last campaign that you ran.
You have complete permission to use Mr. May, Winnie, and Mixmasters, and I'd be delighted if you included them at all.
Yeah, and Mix Max Masters.
Oh, that's right. I made their name even more trash.
Great. Masters is like the best teacher. They still teach history. They still teach history. That's canon. I'm not quite sure what subject Mr. May taught. I think he's like just a homeroom teacher.
I think he taught history.
Oh, he also taught history. Okay.
No. It was either social studies or English or something like
He's
that.
social studies. He's very much a social studies teacher.
It was definitely not math or something like that.
No. I also love the fact that he's a social studies teacher and also did not discover hip hop until we. Inside jokes.
I mean, that didn't come from Europe, so why would it be taught in social studies?
Wow. I mean, okay. So
American education's great.
while this campaign won't really be dealing with like isms necessarily, it will definitely go there with that kind of political content. That's definitely a thing. If I ran a cyberpunk thing that wasn't like inherently anti-capitalist, I'm not quite sure what I'd be doing with my life. So, but yes, rumors. Tom, Clarissa, do you have any rumor ideas that we can workshop?
There's a secret, like invite-only club in the school, but nobody knows what they do.
Or who they are.
Like that, there's just this club with a mysterious name that like some kids get invited to, but they won't talk about what it is.
It has a mysterious name. I can either think on that mysterious name, or we can workshop it together. Either's fine. Is it's got to have like a
Club X.
I think it's kind of like the adjective noun club is usually how it goes, like the Red Strings Club, the Hellfire Club.
Well, I was thinking maybe the Midnight Crew, but
Yeah.
Member of the Midnight Crew.
As much as I used to be Homestuck trash, I think we can maybe do better.
I respect that a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking like in my mind I was definitely thinking, the prestigious sounding last name club, like the Rosenthal Club or something like that.
Ooh, that's a surname. Okay. Yeah.
I want to reference a different piece of media. It could be the Prescott Club.
I don't even
Prescott.
I mean,
Nathan
I like the
Prescott.
sort of creepy conspiracy direction, personally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, like maybe like something more ominous sounding, kind of like the Harvard has like, what is it, the Skull and Bones or something?
I actually quite like the surname club because I can work with that in terms of who the surname belongs to, and that can be a thing to find out. So, okay, cool. There is an invite-only club, but nobody knows what they do. It has a mysterious name, the Surname Club. Nice. Cool, thank you.
Oh my god, wait, what if it was called something like the Blades Club, and then it turned out to be the last name Blades, not the object?
It's Nathan's club?
So meta. It's just like, this is self-insert. I am the secret boss of this campaign. If you manage to get inside this locked door and know the password to the Blades Club, then you fight me as a secret boss.
And then we have to fight you IRL.
Imagine this, like, it's pitch dark, then, the giant face shows up glowing in.
I just manifest physically in your home and fight you. Great.
Your face comes in like Andros.
Like that.
The boss at the end of Star Fox.
Yeah, Racing is right.
I open my mouth and just fucking bees fly.
Polygons come out.
Okay,
Painted
right.
nails fly out.
Tom, what's your rumor? I need to find some rumors from you. How else will I gossip with the cheerleaders if I don't know a rumor?
Rumor, there's a life.
So,
really
feel free to cut me off if this is too topical, but that one of the significant club leaders did not pass the exam and was had a what's the word? It was got in through a bribe.
It's through nepotism that they got in, huh?
Yeah.
Oh no, through their own subterfuge. Ooh,
or it's more like they whatever it's like. Either their parents bribed the right person, or they somehow cheated on the exam, but like it would be too dangerous to expose them. But either way, like somebody up there in the administration knows that they shouldn't have been there, but still did. Like, maybe I was just listening at a door and I heard like it, but I didn't know whom.
Okay, cool. So one of the club leaders got into MCA despite failing the test and not being scouted. Nice, love it. Cool.
And of course, this is not limited to the existing ones. It's any just could be a new character.
Yeah, there are for every club. There is a club leader. Oh, actually, I entirely missed this. This is an important thing. So, each of you goes to an after-school club because it's kind of almost campus law. You have to. If you don't, Grant Carmona shows up on your doorstep and has very terse words with your parents.
With a gun.
He's too well put together to have a gun. He'll hire somebody else who has a gun.
The gun fires sternly worded notices.
Just through your window.
I think Philo is probably. I'm definitely thinking he's on the dance club, and this may be a little self-aggrandizing. I kind of love the idea that he has been asked many times to become the leader of the dance club and just has no interest in being the leader because he does not he's I just want to dance.
I don't want to have to handle the treasury.
I don't know how to do this.
Okay, so you're definitely in the dance club. It seems to be kind of previously established that you probably show up in the gardening club even if you're not an official member.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think... Yeah, absolutely. He's pretty... Yeah, I think it's safe to say he... Even if he doesn't spend a lot of time in the gardening club, then he certainly spends a lot of time in the garden.
Nice. Tom, what after school club are you in?
Probably just one. Either like if there is a nature club or a hiking club.
Yeah, hiking club sounds good. And that also establishes that there's woodlands nearby. Nice. Clarissa? Well, you're already part of the library club.
Clarissa has her after hours book club coven. I think she's also probably part of debate club.
Ooh, okay. So a thing you might not know Debate club in setting is basically the Phoenix Wright style courthouse.
Ooh.
So you can
Nice.
definitely be affiliated with debate club.
I would like that very much.
Okay, interesting. That makes the dynamics with her quite interesting. I will say, maybe for balance, you're possibly a low-ranking member of debate club.
Oh yeah. She may be joined very recently.
So you're like the Phoenix Wright of the debate club.
There is
my
already
God.
a Phoenix Wright of the debate club, will have you know.
I'm the Apollo Justice of the debate club.
See, I like Apollo Justice more, so that's fine. Book club. Remember in debate club.
Meanwhile, Philo wanders into the debate club asking if people have hamburgers.
Just hands you an entire bowl of ramen. Eat your hamburgers, Philo. Cool. Excellent. And that is largely it. We are pretty much done with our session 0. One last thing that I will do, but off air, is, as previously mentioned, I will set up a Dramatis Personae document. This will have the name of every established character in setting so far, and I would like you all to pick a color and then have like a 1-sentence thing underneath their name about what you think of them. And that can be anything. Whether it can even be I don't know them, that's fine too, and then you can update that as we play and as you change your opinion on them, so we are always reminded of who these people are and being relatively consistent about our feelings about them.
And that's pick a color for our own character?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Pick a theme color essentially, because that might
take. Oh man, I'm gonna need to decide between a.
Will it be rose red or green? You have to decide.
I'm torn between a summery light green or a kind of a kind of like light lemony yellow, not like bright yellow, but a kind of
pastel yellow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
That would be hard to read in a text document, so
That's
maybe
a good
not
point.
that.
You've got me there.
But I will remember that is generally your color scheme. That's cool. But yeah. You don't necessarily need to think about the colors now. We can kind of do those bits and pieces off air. But thank you so much for everybody who kind of stuck out to kind of continue watching and listening to the show. We love you all. We will be doing, as long as everybody on air is okay with this, the session 1 will also be streamed, so we'll be able to do that also live. We are meeting the kind of like 2.5 kind of hour runtime that I had in mind. But if anybody has any questions, both or any of you and anybody in the chat that you want to ask about the campaign, about us, about how we do tabletop RPGs, let's do some Q&A.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is an RPG?
I don't know either. I tried. I went to City Hall to ask, and they burned the letter that I wrote and sent a guy in very dark shades in a suit to my house. So I'm scared to ask again. Don't let them know that I'm having the stream. It might go badly.
And that's how I got my Twitch account deactivated.
I swatted myself. Great. But no, seriously, do any of you have any kind of questions about the campaign and stuff going forward?
Thinking into what I'm doing.
Ooh.
Are we running this at the same time as City in a Bottle? Like, obviously not at the same.
Yeah, I mean, like, I actually held fire on starting to run this because we were running our initial Mystic Lilies demo, and I was like, I'm not going to try and do that both at the same time. And then I really wanted Joe to run their session of City in a Bottle, so I wanted to wait until after we're done. I think links are allowed because I posted a link earlier, so we should be cool. Yeah, Rayson Williams. Oh, it's an image. Scary.
Oh man.
Oh my god. I need to make that my Twitter banner.
Spoiler alert.
I genuinely need to make my Twitter banner. That's too precious.
That's so perfect. Thank you.
Oh my god. Yeah, no. Open in browser, so I definitely have it for later. Good. Save to drive. There we go. Yeah, cool. So that's not a question at all. But thank you for doing that.
Not a question, but it was an answer.
Mm-hmm. I do feel more fulfilled for having seen it, so it helps.
I do have kind of a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you are definitely not a kind of GM that really, cares too much about combat and, setting up these elaborate, big fights and, you gotta have 3,000 chips and optimize your build, blah, blah, blah. But I will say that I do enjoy having... Even though I'm not the kind of person who will be like, oh my god, I need to get all of the MCP so I can optimize my
I like
build.
to gather some stuff.
I like gathering things and, being able to piece together my options, which is... So basically just wanted to put out there that I would certainly, it would definitely be nice to have plenty of avenues to get chips, get NCPs, get whatever else.
No, I think that's definitely going to be the case in what we do. Don't worry about that. I know what I kind of promised myself, and I think we'll discuss this off air, is there'll be more than one chip vendor. In fact, if Winnie is going to be a character, there might be 3. So there'll be Winnie is your kind of like baseline retail level stuff. There's probably someone at the school, maybe actually part of the school store, that sells quite expensive stuff. And there is also somebody that is a cracker and a bootlegger and has stuff that's real cheap, but maybe sketch.
The chip smuggler. Okay, sounds good.
So you'll definitely be able to get stuff that way. There will be fights because your Navi's got to do stuff too, in addition to doing research. And that I already have in my mind one episode that will entirely be on the internet that your Navis will do with maybe without your ops knowing, is a thing that I really want to explore. Like, what do your Navis do when the owners are sleeping?
Nice, I like that.
That kind of thing.
It's like Toy Story for Navis.
Yeah. If everybody knew that the toys were sentient and we're terrified by that. I love how that image is now part of the Discord, the Twitch stream. That's great.
I mean, it's better than seeing my character sheet at this point.
Yeah, that is absolutely fair. There will
viewers. Yeah.
Great.
Lumi, I'm going to be begging you to download every deleted virus into a blank battle chip.
If you insist. This is what's optimal.
It's right there. It's free real estate, Lumi. You can't just let that go.
But there's another virus right there who wants to kill us.
Yeah, the viruses will be out to kill you. Oh man, yeah. People covering their tracks by putting viruses down. That's an interesting thing to explore.
Also, I mean, I dropped a lot of viruses in beta 3 that don't really do, like, they're way less about direct combat, so
you made a bunch of social viruses that will definitely be explored. And there's probably going to be a handful of kind of like viruses and stuff that I have like a little like fandom crossover document that I've been working on that references stuff like Transistor and Mega Man Star Force and Netrunner, and some of the stuff from that might appear as well, just because it's a character block that I've made, and I don't like writing character blocks, so rather than steal from ones I've already written. So those kind of things will be explored and definitely feature. But yes, do expect some combat. Do expect to be rewarded for your efforts, and do expect the ability to be able to buy things.
Cool. Yeah, it's funny. I think I bring it up not because I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for combat, but just because a lot of the times that I was having fun with Net Battle Club and playing in some of your things is when I would, like with Visor Man, so using Recall, so to summon the last virus deleted and get it to help me out in some way. And even if it was for something completely not combat related, like toggling a what was it? A roller coaster to start or stop.
Yes, that's what you used it for.
I lapped that up. So.
Nice. No, that's cool. No, there will definitely be opportunities to using combat abilities in non-combat scenarios is something I really like. So yeah, no, if you think of clever uses for your abilities, yeah. Any other final thoughts between all of us?
Hey Will, what's your Navi's element again?
Flowers.
Flowers.
Ooh, nice.
Yep, I could have gone with a plant, but I decided, nope, let's make this...
Specifically flowers.
Yep, let's make this worse and find out how it's actually better.
I mean, once you start summoning poisonous flowers, we get into really interesting territory.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think, in my eyes, the strength of picking the more specific your element gets and, the less everyday it is, the more license you have to kind of stretch the truth a little bit, as I'm thinking about your Navi that had the element ice cream and was able to ice skate on...
the Rings of Saturn.
Exactly, yeah.
That was so good.
It was very good.
No, I with just the super wide shitty and grin, I was like, did you know that the Rings of Saturn are mostly made from rock and ice? Yeah, no, absolutely. Creative use of powers is also like 100, 10 out of 10. Yeah, no, that's cool. Oh, a parting thought, if there are no other questions. So, a thing I want to do is that when I start session 1, there will be an anime opening with the kind of stuff in them that you would expect.
Nice.
So, I would quite like each of you to think of, in terms of being able to describe it as like a single sentence so we keep pace, what your character is doing in a kind of relaxing environment, what your character is doing in the anime opening that's demonstrating your unique skills, talents, or powers in a very action-y kind of way, and maybe like what is a dramatic pose that you would have as you all kind of gather together as an ensemble as the title kind of like appears either in front or behind you. So think on those 3 things, and we will see how that turns out when we return for session 1.
Oh boy. I don't know the other 2, but I can tell you in her dramatic pose, Clarissa...
Oh no, don't tell me now. I want to hear when we do the thing.
Okay.
So don't tell me that nonsense. Save
My lips are sealed.
I thought we were gonna send. Wait, we're not sending him to you.
No, I'm gonna ask you in the moment. What does your character do? And I want you to just kind of like leap in with the dramatic description with the backing music and all that kind of cool stuff.
Understood.
Yeah, nice. All right, I think that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen of the non-binary. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's go. Let's introduce everybody's names one more time. On this call, we have had Joe.
Hey, I'm Joe.
We've also had Sam.
Hello, I'm Sam.
And we have had Will.
Hey, I'm Will.
And I am your GM and fabulous host, Nathan. And we'll catch you next time on the strange tales of Mainframe City Academy.
Hey guys, do you ever feel like you just got told something by the super secret final boss?
Yeah, like every time Nathan speaks for some reason.
He just has that kind of power.
It's my high school talent.
Nathan, you're the super secret final boss of my heart.
Yeah, you could stop the stream now.
Okay, I can't think of a better place to end it. Thanks for watching, people. See you later.
Bye.
See ya.
Check out the Discord channel.